Another Wasteland Survivor, huh? Sorry, but I don't got enough to share. Get your own copy of the book and do your own hunting. Ain't you heard of the Wasteland Survival Guide? Bought one off a trader, and it's the reason my family's back up to 2 meals a day. Is that so? Well, thanks, stranger. You and that Moira girl done all right by me and mine. Nice writing.
Loading personality. Robco, R04V9. Office helper. Running default office protocol. Error. Loading daily agenda. Error. Security breach detected. Please stand back.
So, how's the scabbing been? Got the food medicine from that super duper mart? Really? You did? You did! Well, all right. Tell me all about it. Well, as long as it was no problem for you then. I mean, who doesn't enjoy cake? Other than robots, of course. I bet they prefer pie. Or maybe pie. Well, keep what you got. Just traded for a big food shipment myself. Here, take a bit, my treat. The taste kind of, grates after a while. Oh, and take this. It's an old food sanitizer. Just carry it with you, and it should automatically make most food and drink more better. I still need to study a living specimen with radiation poisoning. I need someone to research how to travel through a minefield. And that'll cover the first section of the book. Which strikes your fancy? Landmines are one of the few dangers out there that you can profit from. Disarm one before it blows, and you can sell it for plenty of caps. I've heard stories about a ghost town that's just full of mines. Traders just call the place Minefield. Sounds like the place for some field work. Get in there, get back, and tell me all about it. And could you bring back a mine for my studies? What better reward for avoiding explosives than to pay you with explosives? Frag grenades, in this case. I got a pretty good haul of them recently. And if you bring me back something to study, maybe I can make some modifications for you. Nothing like tinkering with a live mine, right? Oh, don't worry. No one ever goes there because they say it's a ghost town. And since ghosts don't exist, you can just focus on the landmines. I hear there's a playground in the middle of town. Reach that point and come back, and I'm sure you'll have some stories to tell. How are those hot little potatoes? Because, they're on the ground, like potatoes, and hot because they, explode. Anyway, what's up? My very own landmine! Oh, just what I've always wanted. Well, always since I sent you out on this anyway. Now, tell me all about it. What was it like going through there? What's it like disarming a landmine? That's so true. For all of life, really, but especially the parts involving landmines. I know you may not want to see any more explosives for a while, but obviously you know your way around them. Have a couple rainy day toys of mine. And looking at this landmine, it gives me an idea. It's a terrible device that does terrible things, of course, but it's easy to make your own, too. Yes, that's what I need your help on. I know lots about it from books, but I never seem to get a live example. Not for long, anyway. So I need you to get a bit of radiation poisoning so I can study its effects. Oh, not a deadly dose, of course. I can fix you up before that. Really? Oh, how convenient. I should be able to take care of that for you. But first, let me do a little examination. How do you feel? Well, it's no worse than some folks have it, right? Now, let me take a few notes, and I'll handle that nasty radiation with a bit of my own homemade Radcure concoction. Okay, lie back and think healthy thoughts. Okay, a little Brahmin milk, a couple magnets, and maybe a few happy thoughts. Well, what do you know? It worked! I mean, I was pretty sure it would, obviously. Here, take a few radiation chems with you. I'm sure you'll run into more in the future. Correct. And it's looking very smart. Very smart indeed. They'll be dazzled by our intelligence. Here, for your services, I've saved up quite a few stim packs. Of course you may need them. We've still got 2 more chapters to go. The second chapter is going to be a bit trickier, I think. It'll cover how to handle creatures out there, for better or worse. For example, repelling mole rats, learning about mirelurks, and when all else fails, how to handle being injured. So let's buckle down and get to work on this chapter. What's first? Well, I never get to study anyone who's severely injured. Not without them crying to be fixed right away or trying to bleed out and all that. But obviously, you can handle a lot of abuse. So if I'm ever going to find a good example of human anatomy and injury resistance, it'd be you. Next time you get badly injured, return here so I can examine you before I heal you up. I mean, you're going to get yourself hurt anyway, right? Wow, what a great research assistant you are. I mean, really, that's dedication. Demonstrating how to withstand pain by getting injured? Wow. When you're ready, come back here with some serious injuries, maybe a crippled limb or two, and I'll take notes and fix you up. I'll be waiting here with plenty of bandages for you, so don't worry. Just go get horribly injured. Oh, and be careful.
Violence will not be tolerated. Unable to continue.
Well, how do you feel? Well, lucky for you that I am. At least, pretty good. Good enough to fix this up, at least. You wouldn't happen to have a broken limb, would you? No? Well, never mind. Now, can you describe how you feel? Sounds like you know your way around a med kit. You could probably take care of yourself if I wasn't already here. Of course, since I am here, I might as well take care of you now. It's the least I could do. Ugh! How can you be walking around like this? No mess, no problem. Well, a bit of a mess, but no problem regardless. Here, you know, for the next time you get hurt and I'm not around. There's a sort of mole rat repellent I've developed. I need it to be tested on a few mole rats before I can say it's a success. There's a lot we don't know about mirelurks and how intelligent and dangerous they are. That definitely deserves research. And that should be it for the second chapter. Which do you want to check out? Mirelurks are a big threat in some areas, and knowing more about them can help people learn to avoid or even outsmart them. So I picked up this observer device to study them in their natural habitat. I need you to hide one in one of the spawning pods in their lairs. While you're working on that, I'll be following up on a lead I've got for a couple stealth boys. When you're done, they're yours. And who knows, maybe we'll learn something useful from the mirelurks. That's great. I recommend the nest at the Anchorage War Memorial. I knew a trader who talked about the mirelurks down there. Just go inside and find one of their spawning pods, probably down near the water. Put this observer inside and get out quietly. And be sure not to kill any mirelurks inside their nest. If you do, it could ruin the validity of the study.
Oh!
So, are they intelligent? Do they have a leader? Some sort of king or priests? Or some sort of scaly community center? I'll bet most people would have just gone in there, guns blazing without half a thought. But not you. You're the best research assistant ever. I've been getting a good signal, but what do you think about them from your first-hand observations of them? Oh, really? Maybe their leader figures are bred, sort of like ant queens. I wonder if relocating a Mirelurk king would prompt the others to move. Some of these observations about their armor and camouflage gave me an idea for reinforced, neutral-colored headgear. Consider it thanks for not interfering with them. Oh, speaking of which, take these, so you can continue to avoid them in the future. Mole rats can burrow into almost anything and cause a lot of trouble. So I figured I'd make a chemical repellent stick for people to shoo them off. But I need it to be tested before I put the recipe to paper in the guide. So I need you to find some mole rats and test it out a bit. It'll be easy. One tap with the applicator and it overwhelms their senses with a sort of feel-bad sensation. Then they're gone before you know it. You could test it out on just a few mole ratties, but for real testing, try it on 10 or more. There should be plenty in the tepid sewers downtown. I can't wait to hear how the repellent's working. Just a few? Well, I'm sure it'll be good enough. So, how did my chemical repellent work? Safe and clean like a charm, I bet. Explosive, you say? That's kind of impressive, actually. In a horrible sort of way, at least. I guess it's back to the drawing board for that repellent. I wonder if I can make it into some sort of fuel. Anyway, I'll just take that. Oh, but for your trouble, here. Have the leftover chems from working on the repellent. I'm sure you can find some use for them. Correct as always. And your feedback's really led to a very smartly written book. Maybe too smart for some folks, I worry. Of course, if the reader can't be bothered to understand something important as a book on how to stay alive, then what can we do, huh? And in case those readers blame you for their ignorance, here's your payment. 2 big boxes of ammo. Now, on to the next chapter. The last chapter is a bit more esoteric. It's about the survival of humanity as a whole and how to rebuild society. Deep stuff, huh? We need to know how large settlements are formed, how to harness the old technology, and I'll need you to get ancient history from a nearby library. We're in the last stretch now, so let's finish it up strong. What's first? Oh, that sure saved me a lot of time. But I bet their book wouldn't have anything about exploding mole rats, would it? Books are where the old world kept its knowledge, and libraries are where it kept the books. And there's supposed to be one in Arlington. See if it's still there, and if you can download records from its computer. Information dumps like those would be invaluable for rebuilding humanity. Great! The library should be in Old Arlington, not far from downtown. See if you can download the archives from its computer. If you can't get those, then even the card catalog would be useful. Any little piece of information could help the book, and thus humanity. Why, I'm flattered. What would you like to know? Well, it'll help humanity rebuild, right? I mean, who doesn't want to help humanity? Besides, it's bound to work out better than some of my other projects. I mean, with you helping and all, how could it go wrong? Well, a little before you first arrived, one of my experiments had a little accident. I mean, how could I have predicted the centaur would think my assistant smelled tasty? But nothing bad like that could happen with this book. It's a great plan, and it'll make up for everything else. You really think so? But I thought I was so brilliant. I suppose you're right. I wouldn't want anyone else to get hurt because of my foolish ideas. I'll just stick to helping the caravans. Hey, if you're ever around again, stop by. I'll see if I can get you a deal on repairs, I guess. Working. Just a few? Well, I'm sure it'll be good enough. So, how did my chemical repellent work? Safe and clean like a charm, I bet. Explosive, you say? That's kind of impressive, actually. In a horrible sort of way, at least. I guess it's back to the drawing board for that repellent. I wonder if I can make it into some sort of fuel. Anyway, I'll just take that. Oh, but for your trouble, here. Have the leftover chems from working on the repellent. I'm sure you can find some use for them. Correct as always. And your feedback's really led to a very smartly written book. Maybe too smart for some folks, I worry. Of course, if the reader can't be bothered to understand something important as a book on how to stay alive, then what can we do, huh? And in case those readers blame you for their ignorance, here's your payment. 2 big boxes of ammo. Now, on to the next chapter. The last chapter is a bit more esoteric. It's about the survival of humanity as a whole and how to rebuild society. Deep stuff, huh? We need to know how large settlements are formed, how to harness the old technology, and I'll need you to get ancient history from a nearby library. We're in the last stretch now, so let's finish it up strong. What's first? It does, doesn't it? I mostly just deal with it after it's junked, but a trader gave me this Robco processor widget. He said it's worth a fortune. According to him, if it's connected to the mainframe in the Robco factory, you could have access to all the robots you'd ever want. Now that would be a great example of how to harness technology, wouldn't it? Yeah, you should just be able to plug it into the mainframe at the Robco production facility. It'll give you access to the robots and terminals. Okay, here. And be sure to keep an eye peeled for any other examples of how to make old technology work for you out there. Try not to die. Hold it. This area is under the authority of the Brotherhood of Steel. Leave immediately. I would be cautious about insulting the Brotherhood. We have very long memories. Very long. Leave this library and do not return. We have work to do here, and I have no time for ill-mannered wastelanders. Go. I have no time for you, wastelander. Go. You honor us with your presence here. I have no time for you, wastelander. Go.
Dad says not to talk to strangers.
Is it there? Are there books? Oh, can I go borrow some? Really? A whole library's worth of data? Right there? Oh, that's great news. So, what did you find? Tell me about it. I suspect you and I are two of the only people who really appreciate its value. Yes. Oh my goodness. When I'm done with this, I'll have to work on copying all of this information. It could take a while, you know. Oh, but here's a book of mine and some caps for your research. Think of it as pay for a civilization worth of overdue books. Yes, that concludes our exceptional expert endeavor. I have to admit, I was worried it would go over some people's heads, but it should be fine. For all your hard work, I want you to have this mini nuke. I kept meaning to use it to dig a well, but honestly, It just makes me nervous. Now, I just need to do a few last tweaks, and it'll be ready to print and distribute. Thanks for all the help. Oh, it's great! Why, with the information here, we'll save hundreds of lives, maybe even thousands. I'll share these with the traders, and soon everyone will know about the Wasteland Survival Guide. But first, here, the very first copy of our book goes to you. I couldn't have done it without you, my Wasteland Survival expert.
Another glorious day in this man's army.
Remember me? Tinker Joe at your service? Have a look and see for yourself. A pleasure doing... and it's not just... Comes complete with a simulated personality unit, so he's good protection and good company too, and all... To tell the truth, it is a little trouble, but he can't help the way he got built. General Atomics programmed the Mr. Gutsy to be a good soldier, but their definitions were a bit vague, so a lot of units had... issues. So we got a gung-ho robotic soldier that's picky about the company he keeps. But he seems to like you, so it'll be fine. I'll just transfer the codes, and you've got a deal, friend. Here's hoping for the best for you and the sergeant alike. Bye. Yes? Did you need something else? Thanks. Later.
Salutations, Commander. Sergeant RL-3, Gutsy Class, Robotic Soldier reporting for duty. Leader!